This is Lou Schlepps. He owns a company that sinks old ships to create artificial reefs, and one day while loading a ship with explosives, Lou found several Mormons living in the galley. It turns out they were hiding from some crazy Swiss guy who had a cat named Walter, but the cat was actually a robot built in the 1950s, and the crazy Swiss guy never even caught on because when he was a kid he wasn't allowed to have a cat because his dad worried that it might attack his mom. But none of that mattered because one day his mom flew into the next door neighbor's window even though his dad had gone over there the day before and asked the neighbors to close their drapes or at least hang something shiny in the window, but they didn't do anything on account of being complete jerks. Krista, the wife, was always going on and on and on about how she never washed her face, but then one day the whole thing backfired when a big movie star from Hollywood wanted to kiss her, but he didn't because her face smelled so bad. So that night, Krista did a lot of screaming, and the young man living in the kitchen didn't get any sleep, so the next day he placed 5th in the Olympic Games, even though a lot of people thought he'd come in 4th, but not his Auntie Jojo. She told everyone he'd win the Olympics. Anyway, the day after her nephew blew the Olympics, Jojo went out to play bingo, but everyone at the hall got all upset because she was acting so smug and everything. Lorene, the woman who calls the numbers, got so mad she yelled, "Under the end, Jojo, cut it out for God's sake!" But no one even heard Lorene because LaFonda Dongleton had just screamed bingo for the 7th time that night, and at that very instant every woman in the hall wanted LaFonda dead. So the next morning they all met at Lorene's place to plan the perfect murder and to help Lorene move her stove into the guest room, but then Lorene's husband Hank came home and started screaming about how there were already enough stoves in the guest room and that's why my brother never comes to visit anymore! Even though his brother actually died 4 years earlier slipping on the stairs outside a nudie bar, but the coroner said Kyle killed him. So when Kyle finally got out of prison he got a job selling back rubs over the internet, and one day a wealthy baroness called and told him to come over for a demonstration. But it was all a lie because she just wanted to see if her doorbell still worked, and her whole plan would have gone perfectly except Kyle's friend Steve came to his cubicle and told him about a party down by the river, and if he wanted to come he should probably bring a knife, because some artificial reef maker named Lou Schlepps would be down there, and he was always stealing people's beer, and one time he even drove Steve's car into the river by mistake, or at least that's what he said. But the strange thing is that on a different plane of reality there's another guy who looks exactly like Lou and he blows up boats for a living too, but this other Lou is filthy rich and everything he owns is made of Super Bowl rings. But get this, the two Lous had the exact same lives up until 10 years ago, when one of them met a crazy Swiss guy who convinced him that he could be a major player in the boat scuttling industry if he just made up a bunch of business cards that said, "Lou Schlepps sinks ships."